Hey everybody here on MUSE Sports. We're here with the legendary Ken Shamrock to talk about this weekend's big MMA fight between Tito Ortiz and Alberto El Patron del Rio, Alberto Rodriguez. Which name you want to choose for this fight, we can definitely use it. What is it about this fight that's really got you excited about it?
Well, first, I know Tito, and I've always respected what he's done. You know, even though when I was fighting, I didn't like anything about him, but that's just because I was fighting him. But I really love I've watched the kid grow. You know, from time when he first went into the ring to when I fought him, and he's just a tremendous athlete, tremendous fighter, and a tremendous human being. And it to me, it's a little bit confusing to me when I hear people say, "Well, I hope Tito's not overlooking him. Everybody's giving Tito all this visibility and always talking about." Well, he's earned that. I mean, he was the best in the world. I mean, he's beat everybody that ever came his way. He was one of the best champions, pound for pound, in the world. At one time, they couldn't even find anybody to fight him. I mean, he had beaten everybody. So he's getting the credit that he deserves. And unfortunately, for Alberto, you know, he doesn't have the credibility that Tito has. I mean, he hasn't fought the guys that Tito has. He may have fought one or two guys that were at a level, but Tito has done it consistently his whole career and has come out on top. So he's getting the right credit, and he's getting talked about like he should. He's a world champion. He's beaten everybody they put in front of him. And I just don't see... The only way that Tito loses this fight is if he goes in there and he underestimates Alberto, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think Tito's well prepared for him.
Yeah. Especially with Tito being... he has such a legendary background as well as yourself. And then you have Alberto, who's not only a professional wrestler, he did do some MMA, but it's not into the level at all where Tito was at.
No, and that's why I'm saying when people were talking about, well, don't underestimate Alberto, and it's like, they're not. I mean, he's got a record. He's had some little bit of success in there, but it ain't nothing compared to what Tito has done. So, unfortunately, this is not going to be a good night for Alberto. That's just what I believe.
Yeah. Well, you've done both. You started out at the MMA level, and then you went to WWE. Now you're with Impact. I mean, how challenging is it for somebody to either go in reverse or to go forward?
Well, it's challenging no matter what. It really is. And, you know, when I'm talking about, I'm not talking about a guy who's gone back to pro wrestling and then gone back to MMA. I'm talking about a guy who hasn't had the experience in the ring to get in the ring and fight a guy like Tito with his experience. Mm-hmm. Tito's been there and done that over and over again, and Alberto hasn't even been there. He's even sniffed the level of competition that Tito has.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you even prepare for that mentally? Because I know the wrestling game, it is a sport, it's an athletic sport, but there is a little difference to it. Whereas MMA is real life, a mental game, a mental fighting game.
Well, wrestling, you got to be tough to last in wrestling. You got to be a tough guy. There's no question. But the skill sets in wrestling and MMA are completely different. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a guy trying to take your head off with punching and kicking and kneeing and elbowing. And then you're talking about guys throwing you and on the ground, trying to pound you out and then be able to submit you. Whereas wrestling, you're getting slammed, obviously. You got to have some gravity. You got to be tough. You got to be able to take bumps. And you got to be mentally tough. Mm-hmm. But as opposed to the MMA world, which is what they're going to be doing, Tito has been to that elite level over and over and over again and then again. Whereas Alberto has never even sniffed that level yet.
Yeah. And for yourself, we see you still fighting in the wrestling ring. Have you ever thought about doing the same thing as Tito and coming back to the MMA world?
Well, I haven't thought about it, you know. I mean, right now I'm promoting a company called Valor BK. Mm-hmm. Our next show is January 11th in Kissimmee, outside of Orlando. And I'm enjoying putting on bare knuckle fighting. It's exciting, it's fast. People are loving it. It's taken off, and I think it's the next sport coming up. So I'm really enjoying where I'm at right now. I love being involved with Impact Wrestling. You know, we got a show coming up, Hard to Kill. You know, January 12th in Dallas. So I'm looking forward to that too. It should be fun. I mean, so right now I'm really happy with where I'm at.
That's good. That's good because I mean we've seen you do so much. You've excelled at almost every level that on any platform that you've been on. So we're looking forward to seeing what's next for Ken Shamrock because we love that excitement in the ring from you.
Well, and again, I appreciate that. It means a lot, especially when I hear stories about how people have really been able to live through me, and I help them get through some of their hard situations, being entertained by some of the things that I've done. So it means a lot to me. I really want to make sure the fans have enjoyed what I've done in my career because I know I did.
And what are your thoughts? Because we've seen now, especially with professional wrestlers and now with MMA, they really are taking on the training of MMA and doing more cardio, more calisthenics. It's a different type of training now, and you're seeing these wrestlers who are not as big, who are more slim, like yourself. You're more slim. You're not like these huge guys anymore. Are you seeing that difference not only in the MMA world? Are you seeing it in the wrestling world? Is he seeing a faster, quicker fighter?
I do. I think pro wrestling is becoming more, at least in my opinion, more athletic. Guys are having to move around the ring. A lot of the moves that are coming up are just so athletic. And so I think wrestling is starting to make that transition of what people and the fans are wanting to see, which is athletic movements and hard movements and a hard style in pro wrestling.
Because that's the one thing we love is that we're seeing a lot of even individuals taking that step and training in the MMA, getting less injuries when they're working out. The training is completely different, and it seems like it's becoming more and more acceptable to train that way, especially when you're not getting as injured as you would in normal exercises and what we're doing.
Well, when you think about when I came into pro wrestling, it was a lot of wrestling moves, pro wrestling moves. And then after I came out of pro wrestling, now it's more MMA moves, more boxing moves, kickboxing moves. So I think wrestling's becoming more athletic. It's becoming more real, even though there's entertainment built into it, but the moves are becoming more realistic.
Exactly. And last question, to get back into this fight, what can you tell the MUSE audience in order to get them to watch this Saturday for this Combate match that's going on?
Well, first thing I want to say is not the reason for them to watch it, but you're going to watch it anyways because it's Tito Ortiz. I mean, Tito Ortiz is a great fighter. He's a great world champion. He's very famous. So you're going to watch it, right? And Alberto's got his own following. But for me, the hard stance is I see so many people conflicted about wanting to stand behind somebody because some of political stance. And it's a shame that it's gotten to that because this is about two fighters getting to the ring. One that is established world champion, a great fighter, and another person that's trying to make a mark, trying to take advantage of maybe an older fighter who is going to take him lightly. They're both older, but Tito is, in my opinion, is just going to destroy him. And I'm not saying it to be mean. I just look at the competition. I'm pretty educated on what I'm looking at. And I think Tito is going to beat him up pretty bad. But just because Tito wins the fight doesn't mean that the political stance that Alberto has is wrong or that Tito's stance is right because he won. It has nothing to do with that. It's two fighters getting in and fight. The better fighter is going to win.
And nobody better to talk to than Ken Shamrock right here, who's held the belts and done everything you could possibly imagine in this business. So thank you so much, Ken, for stopping with us. We look forward to the fight on Saturday, and we look forward to seeing you more on Impact.
I appreciate it. Thank
you.